Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here, wow, on Wednesday in ThinkTech Tech Talks. That's what I'm calling it today, ThinkTech Tech Talks, because today we're especially techie. We're going to talk about the HICTA, HICTA Tech Trend Conference, which is happening on the 24th of February, right? A Tuesday, 2 weeks from now. And HICTA stands for the Hawaii, I got that part, Information, I got that part, but Communications,
3 for 3.
Technology Association.
Correct.
And that's that's Art Garbiso. He's the president of HICTA. And so if anyone knows how to, extend the acronym, he does. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Okay, and then we have to his right and my left, Vincent Hoang. He's a solution engineer for Hawaiian Telecom. And what these guys have in common is that they're both involved in the conference. Let me say the name of the conference again. It's the HICTA Tech Trend Conference at the Fort Tarusi, the Halikoa Hotel. And it's an all-day conference on February 24th, Tuesday, 2 weeks from now. Okay, so what do you guys do for your respective companies? Let's start with you, Vincent.
Great. Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Vince Hoang. I'm an enterprise architect with Hawaiian Tel with the Solutions Engineering Department. My primary role is to meet with customers and help design, provide consulting, and to augment and defend their network and security infrastructure.
Okay, but I hear that word architect all the time in connection with technology, and it leaves me wondering what exactly is an architect. And I was going to ask you whether you attended the School of Architecture.
No, not an architect by trade, more on the design, on the technical IT focus side, yes.
So what does an architect in the technical IT focus side do?
That my role would be to meet with customers and identify their network. At a very high level, understand their network.
Large.
Yes, routers, switches, what kind of WAN infrastructure may be required, and provide some advice, some recommendations on how to either maintain or to improve on their infrastructure. A lot of the infrastructure these days have gotten very, very complicated, and so there's an effort not only to just keep the lights on, so to speak, and passing traffic back and forth to drive business, but also provide some kind of vision to provide a path so that IT can be a larger player in driving business, to make it more efficient, to make it more secure.
So when you say architect, I mean, are you ever designing these systems from the ground up, like walking into the company and saying, I think I'll build some, I'll architect some networks for you?
With our larger clients, that tends to be more, it's usually only greenfield when, say, a new site is being developed. But in most cases, it's coming in and understanding what's currently there, and then providing recommendations on how to grow or improve or replace.
What's interesting is you're a telephone company.
Yes.
And so there's something remarkable that's happened here.
Yes.
This is nothing, well, very little to do with telephones. Well, you're talking about computer networks now.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I am at Hawaiian Tel. It's an effort to transform the company into a services communications company. And my primary role, again, is to really focus deeply on the data network infrastructure and the security infrastructure to help facilitate business for our customers.
What an exciting field. How did you get into this field? I mean, what event in your life changed? Whatever, you were a violinist for the Honolulu Symphony?
No, I was actually pre-med in college, and I had just stumbled upon the internet, and in many ways it was like a drug. I just could not get enough of it. And
that means you were built for it.
So, I went formally to school, but I do feel that I became more of an autodidact, and meaning self-learner, and I pretty much use the internet to find as much information and understand it as possible. So I had some exposure to Linux and Unix operating systems, stretched it into the network side, and then now growing into providing more of a security-focused aspect. Now, with the trends going towards the cloud and SDN, I'm borrowing some skills that I learned early on. That's focused on automation, programming, development, to help IT move faster.
Aside from being an architect and a solutions engineer, are you a programmer too? Or is that something that an architect and solutions engineer doesn't do?
The day job, no, but it's more of my hobbies or my efforts to help grow the community. One example there is with the UH and National Guard cyber range. So I provide some advice and time there to help build an infrastructure where the blue team, the defenders, come in and they walk into a scenario where you've been immersed into a brand new IT environment, and your job is to figure out this environment as soon as you can, and then you realize it's compromised. There's malware everywhere, and you have to figure out what the data leaks are. And my role here is actually—
I want to be in high school again so I can learn these things.
So my role in that part is actually the red team, the attackers. So the blue team actually needs to defend against me. I'm coming in and causing trouble. I'm trying to compromise systems or maintain my foothold in there.
Fun.
Yes. I mean, there's the devil's in the details. There's a lot of logistics it's trying, but the effort, I think, is sound. It's pure, and it is to drive the community further along to improve our security awareness.
Arthur, can you tell exactly how passionate Vincent is about this? I can feel the passion.
It's oozing. It's great.
Let's talk about you, Arthur.
Okay.
Where did you start into this field? I mean, the field of, your company is Intraprise TechKnowlogies, spelled with a K-N-O-W in the middle.
Correct.
And that's up in Kaimuki. So what does that do? And then we'll talk about how you got to that place.
Okay. Intraprise TechKnowlogies is a small CPA firm that specializes in optimization of technologies for small and medium business and nonprofits. That's our focus. I mean, we have—
You seem like a much more exciting person than a CPA, but
I'm not a CPA by trade, actually. So I run—
sometimes intuition is right.
I run the solution support division of the company.
Okay.
So I'm a techie, although may not always identify myself in that way. But no, so our team is essentially charged with solutions delivery for our clients. So we actually do a component of managed services, if you will. So we're your outsourced help desk, we're your, boots on the ground, so to speak, but we're also your project management division. So if there's network optimization, integration, any type of major projects to take on, we're there to support that as well.
How many of there are you?
So our company itself is probably about 10 to 12 employees geographically dispersed throughout the U.S. Our systems team itself is about 5 of us.
There's an essential connection, isn't there, between accounting as a professional practice and computing. I mean, I think the accountants were involved with computers before anyone else, because
Agreed.
It's numbers and it's databases and spreadsheets and what have you, and nothing was as clearly connected as that relationship, right?
Correct. I mean, the business rules themselves have existed for decades, and technology is slowly catching up. So where you see the back office reining in technology and kind of a unification, if you will, to where the technology is once again doing what it was designed to do originally, and that was to support the business. So yeah, we see a lot of parallels there, and actually kind of a new partnership, if you will. And one of the things that our company does is builds that bridge.
So I could expect in your company that when I hire you, you, Arthur, you're going to come to my place of business, you're going to help me either set up or fix my existing system so that it's compatible with the system back on Harding Avenue, and then we can talk to each other and trade information and transactionals real time, and we can have this like perfect reportability of my company and the mothership on Harding Avenue.
Not exactly, but to a
It's
degree.
okay. I
mean,
say these things,
by definition, Intraprise TechKnowlogies. So Intraprise, because we want to get inside and know your business as well as you do, so that we can provide that level of support to help you optimize it and build it for the future, and essentially grease the wheel, if you will. And then the communication, everything else, sure, there's services that we could provide so that our two entities communicate more efficiently, but it really boils down to strengthening your internal processes, making sure that your technology is future-proof and that you have all the tools that you need for success.
Not to digress too far on that, but wouldn't it be ideal if my terminal connected with your server, and every time I entered a transaction, boop, it's on your server, and your server is processing very sophisticated algorithms, and it's got reports on it that I can go get. But none of the processing is happening at my terminal. It's all happening on Harding Avenue. Isn't that the ideal way? I don't know the right term for it computer-wise, but I'm just a child, and you're the parent, and I communicate with the mothership, and the mothership really does all the work.
Well, to a degree, those are some of the trends we see in cloud computing these days, where a lot of the compute is being taken off-prem and put into the
I
cloud.
suppose you are, yeah, the mothership is really the cloud.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's part of the thing, the things they're going to be discussing at this program on the 24th, the trends, in case you didn't know.
Absolutely.
So, what sort of, oh, by the way, how did you get trained? I understand you were the cello for the Honolulu Symphony Orchestra, and you decided to change jobs.
I was the bassist, actually.
How bass? How totally bass? How did you, get the idea?
I kind of took a backdoor into technology. My bachelor's was in human development, and it was a crossroads with...
I don't know why, but that reminds me of the old real estate thing. Real estate is not about land. It's about relationships. And I apply that to everything in the world. So now I'm going to apply it to computer technology. Computer technology is not about computers or even technology. It's about relationships.
Absolutely.
You heard it here on ThinkTech. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, at any rate, I was running after school programs, but a component of that was keeping ahead of the kids, so to speak, by understanding the computers and running the lab. And I came at a crossroads in my career where it made a lot of sense to pursue this new avenue. And I've been very fortunate that I continue to do the greater good endeavors. For 9 years of my career, I was directly involved in education, still do a lot of volunteer work with students, whatnot, and we also try to further the development of the technology community through HICTA.
Okay, I want to talk about HICTA now.
Okay.
So HICTA, the Hawaii Information Communications Technology
Association.
It's a fairly large group, I mean, relative to other technology groups around town.
Yeah.
So you guys you have a common denominator. That's why you're here at the same table now. And that is you're both involved in the conference, the HICTA Tech Trend Conference. So what are your respective roles in that conference? Let's start with you, Vincent.
So a counterpart and I, we will be presenting topics related to data breaches and how to best prepare and respond to them. Security is the big buzzword these days in the industry. There doesn't seem to ever be enough security controls to defend the network. In trade magazines, you're going to see breaches after breaches after breaches. Target from late 2013 being a very, very large notable one. That one echoed a lot of. There was a lot of echoing as far as the controls are involved there. It's because Target themselves had a very robust security program. What happened was that they got compromised not through the front door, but through the back door, through a contractor who was a small business, a contractor who had remote VPN access into Target, and Target got compromised because they had targeted the contractor, and then once the criminals had a foothold in the contract, they were able to pivot and get into Target's network, and at that point, breach and collect sensitive information.
Huge number of records.
Yes,
millions. How many millions?
I believe 70 million or more. I think that was the number.
Okay.
Yes.
And when we get on to the next part of our discussion here, I want to ask you, how much concern should I have if I'm a Target customer? What bad things could happen because of that? Okay, so Arthur, what is your role? You're the president of the organization. Surely you'll be there.
Absolutely. So my role is to help put the conference together, kind of shepherd the event itself, and assist the committee with going out, getting our sponsorship, membership drives, and also attendees for the conference itself.
That's Art Garbiso. He's the president of HICTA and also the principal consultant of Intraprise TechKnowlogies, LLC on Harding Avenue in Kamuki. And to my left, Vincent Hoang, solutions engineer and architect for Hawaiian Telecom. And they're both going to be involved in the HICTA Conference on February 24th at the Halikoa. We'll be right back with more here on ThinkTech.
Hi, my name is Andrew Howard. I'm an astronomer at the Institute for Astronomy at the University of Hawaii up in Manoa. I'd like to tell you about the annual open house that we're having. This year it is on April 6th, 11 to 4 p.m. It's an all ages event, kids, grown-ups, even people in between, everyone is welcome. We have a lot of really fun activities. You get to meet astronomers, look at yourself in an infrared camera, play with Legos, make robots, look at videos. You can even make some of the kids like to make comets out of gravel and snow. Even adults like to do that too. You'll be able to look at the sun with a solar camera safely. It's really a great activity. We do this every year in April, and I hope to see you this year. Thanks.
Okay, we're back. We said we'd be back, and we came back. That's Vincent Hoang next to me from Hawaiian Telecom, and Art Garbiso, who's the president of HICTA, and will be instrumental, both will be instrumental in the HICTA Tech Trend Conference on February 24th. So, okay, HICTA is putting this on. You're the president. Surely you can tell me why it's putting this on, what it intends to achieve.
So the goals of the conference itself kind of marry with the goals of the organization. Tech Trends 2015 is really a focus to look at what are the new trends in technologies, what are the challenges, and what's out there. What
But doesn't everybody in the room already know that? I mean, who's going to come? You're trying to track techies.
Correct.
Don't they already know?
I think techies all have their daily challenges because they're presented with them every day. But what this provides is a larger forum for comparison of ideas and solutions.
That's a great answer.
Thank you. A bit of an outside perspective. So sometimes you need to take a couple steps back to gain a greater perspective. And we have industry leaders from here in the state of Hawaii as well as the U.S. mainland. And there's going to be some heavy hitters presenting and some real recognized thought leaders.
Let's, before we go to the heavy hitters, and I do want to cover that, I want to ask Vincent why Hawaiian Telecom is involved. You're a sponsor for this program and a speaker both. Why do you care?
Well, Hawaiian Telecom historically has had a history with HICTA and its predecessors. So I believe someone has always been a board member to help provide the volunteering effort to help drive technology forward. My particular role in this conference is to help drive the security message. And so we're very happy to be a sponsor of HICTA and the conference. And it doesn't seem like there's ever going to be enough information out there regarding security. I get to the point where I'm concerned that there's so many breaches that are that's being announced these days that people start becoming lulled by it, in the sense that, oh, another breach happened, so what? How does it affect me?
How does it affect me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we went trying to target the message towards, well, and be specific about how it does affect organizations and what can be done to help minimize if you get breached, and even better, to help defend and prevent the breaches from happening.
So many wrinkles and so many, talk about trends, so many trends happening around malware and viruses and security in general. I told you early that I'm writing an article. I write an article for the Star Advertiser every month. It could be on anything, but this time it's going to be on hacking. And it's going to be the new chapter in the development of the internet is hacking. We are in the hacking phase of things, which could be a very bad business. And I guess I was motivated because of an article in the New York Times about a website called Hackers List. where you can hire a hacker to do whatever hacking comes to your mind, and somehow they get away with this. So you and I are going to talk offline, right? I need help on my article.
Sure,
Okay, Vincent?
sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm a recent TechView columnist as well. So I've written 3 columns, and my focus again has been on cybersecurity. But
This is great.
yeah, we'll
Okay,
definitely talk after.
let's go back to for a second to Arthur and find out. Everybody's been hanging on their fingernails, waiting to know who all the speakers are, aside from Vincent. So who are the speakers that we should be excited about at this conference?
The CIO of University of Hawaii, Garrett Yoshimi.
Took David Lasner's job. Yeah.
Correct.
Maybe he'll be the next president after that. You know.
That would be great. We've got James Cowing, leading security expert. We've got Tony Siciliano, captain in the U.S. Marine Corps, and Alvin Kajiwara, CTO and VP for HMSA. And we've also got Bert Lum moderating the keynote.
Sure.
And
bite marks. Yeah.
in addition to that, we're going to have 3 sessions. Vincent and his counterpart will be dealing with session 1 in terms of security focus, Dave Morris. And session 2, we're looking at a presentation by Cloud Sigma, who's one of our sponsors. And Robert Jenkins is going to be talking about cloud differentiation, so on-prem versus cloud strategies, et cetera, practical application, if you will. And then session 3 is going to be led by Ironbow, another gold sponsor, and Todd Cowles is going to be talking about the 3rd iteration of IT. Essentially, what we're looking at is preparing for this next phase of the IT evolution. You know, 10 years ago, our bosses were all telling us to do more with less, and his focus is going to be more on doing more with what you have. So
Efficiency.
efficiency.
Business efficiency.
Correct.
Because in the end of the day, it's all about business.
Correct, and that's a key theme for the conference. It's not only about the technology, but it's also the alignment with the business. So, you know, we're expecting, and we already have many people from both sides of the aisle signed up. You know, the back office folks, your business decision makers, as well as your technology professionals.
This sounds like it runs a parallel to energy. You know, ThinkTech studies energy too, and this energy efficiency, very important. You know, the best watt is the negawatt, which you don't generate at all. You just save, right, and all that. Right?
Hence negawatt.
Negawatt, yeah. I like that.
Yes.
That's the invention of Hawaii Energy, which is the energy efficiency agency. Anyway, there's a lot of parallels to energy and this kind of computer technology, and I think it's because energy really is technology.
Correct.
There's such a crossover on that one, you know.
Right.
And you guys could help them. I mean, just let me put a footnote in for that. You could help them. Why? Because they're working on the smart grid, which is all about computer technology. It's all internet, right? It's in the internet between, you know, the smart box that's out there in the customer's residence or business and Hawaiian Electric's central system. And we don't have it in place yet. And it could be developed here. This is a great laboratory for energy, clean energy inventions, discoveries, and technologies. It could happen here. Your group could actually do it.
We welcome all challenges.
There it is. Okay. All right, so let's see. I think the important thing for us to discuss right now is security. We should take...
I definitely believe that,
yes. I knew you'd agree. Funny you should say
Yes.
that. So where are we? You know, where does Hawaii fit, you know, in these trends, whatever they are, in security? Are we ahead, behind? Do we have the talent, the motivation, you know, sort of the community understanding we need to be really secure, or do we have to catch up?
There's definitely a lot of catching up to do. I don't think anyone will argue it that much. Now the problem is how do you prioritize that? So in the news, what you hear about is the APTs, the advanced persistent threats, nation states coming after organizations, like in the Sony case, or you have hacktivists, who's essentially teenagers or individuals in their 20s that don't have day jobs per se, or for the most part, but they have a political agenda where their goal is to embarrass or deface organizations.
It's just negative.
Those are buzzworthy. And the question is, well, how do I defend against this? Well, my answer is to start at the basics. You know, go back and assess your infrastructure, identify where the baseline is, and then find out where you want to be. And that, once you determine what the gap is, work towards it. And what that means in more detail is addressing the basics first. Make sure you have a corporate firewall. Do you have content filtering to block yourself from malicious websites? Is your antivirus up to date, or are you using something that had a license that expired 2 years ago? And so these are basic controls that everybody needs to focus on first. Get those things done, and then worry about the big bad guy. There has been release after release on the Verizon data breach reports, and year after year, they focus on saying that the largest breaches start with a simple common issue, and the basics. Configuration issue, someone misconfigured something, someone wasn't able to patch something in time. These all fall, I believe, on the simple things, and it's not about having monitors or everywhere, and I try to identify, find out where the nation states are. Can we defend against China or Korea or Russia? Start with the simple things first, and then worry about the what's showing up in the news.
It's going to be a great talk. This is great, and
I'm
we have it on tape,
I'm
and we're
excited.
broadcasting. I'm really excited. So but I have a question. I mean, you've seen these products that you can get, online for free, and with these products you can hack. You can do a portal scan. You can find a weak portal, an open portal, and you can go in there and use another tool. It's a series of tools. They're all free. And anybody in the world, including in Vladivostok, can pick up these tools with the simplest. You don't even have to have a fast internet connection to use them.
A fast internet connection helps.
It would help.
Yes.
It would help. But if you didn't have one, it wouldn't be a showstopper.
No, it would not. No, it
So-
would just slow you down.
Slow you down. I mean, you might have to wait while it goes through. But the reality is that if you go on Google, or you look at Amazon or YouTube, you find an awful lot of material on how to do this. You could learn. We three, if we didn't know anything about it, we could learn in one day, become experts in hacking the other guy. So I'm saying, isn't there a way that we could fix this by fixing the whole system? Right now, for example, I'm just throwing an example out. I love this conversation. For example, everything can be anonymous. In other words, I can go on the internet and no one knows who I am. I can find ways around it. You will never be able to find out exactly who I am or where I came from. Okay?
It's actually
Is that all right? And that's
it's
not correct.
very hard to do. I mean, if you're doing a single drive-by, then that's probably reasonable. But if you're going to be a continuous agent that's trying to attack and defend, then actually being anonymous on the internet is very, very hard, because you're not going to be able to hack from your home because you have a credit card bill that's paying for your internet service provider, and that will be your track. If you hang out at the library or the coffee shop because you're not paying for it, it's a public service available. Again, if you use that avenue enough, they're going to track you. You're going to be tracked. So there's a lot of things that you need to do to stay anonymous. I won't disclose some angles here, but it takes a lot of effort. And if you look,
You know how, though.
there are ways, but it's extremely difficult because you have to work off of cache and try to minimize credit card activity. You have to hop around so your IP addresses change. There's a lot of controls.
So suppose I went back to the, real basics about the internet.
Yes.
The original invention of the internet assumed not transparency, but freedom, and it assumed anonymity. Really, suppose we change that. Vincent, you and me, we go out and we architect a new plan for the whole thing, and we say, if you want to get on the wire, you got to tell them who you are. Your name, address, telephone, email, everything. And if you do, and it has to verify. And if you don't tell them, you can't get on. Now, if I did that, would I be able to stop these hacks?
I would lean towards no. I would think that the internet it's a roadhouse, a clearinghouse for information, and information wants to be free. So if you are a country that sets up regulations on how to control how people get internet access, I believe another country will not abide by those rules and provide an avenue for access. If you're on the open internet and you are doing a lot of malicious activity, it is my firm belief that eventually you'll get caught. You make a lot of noise during this time. You may have a few months of a lot of publicity in trying this, but I do feel strongly that you'll eventually get caught. Even in the case of the dark web, I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Dark
that.
web?
Yes, yes. The case of the dark web is not the web. To access it is you use facilities such as Tor, the onion router, and what that does is that it tries to, your information, your packets, bounce around various gateways across the world.
Like one of those games in the game arcade.
Yeah, exactly. You're just ping-ponging around different IP addresses. I think you'll see that in some TV shows or some movies where someone's using a cell phone call and they're bouncing between different cell towers, for example, and it takes time to track one site to another site to another site. So on the internet, I believe it's the same case. But however, with this dark web, however, is that the goal there is that it's an encrypted medium and you try to get to be able to engage in criminal activity. But maybe the traffic within the dark web is maybe anonymous and secure, but the moment you enter the dark web or when you leave the darknet, that's the part where you have to anticipate that you have the FBI and the NSA potentially monitoring that type of activity, and eventually you're going to get caught. So, yeah.
This is hot. This alone is going to make your conference tremendously successful.
Absolutely.
Vincent is a star, I'm telling you. Okay, and on that note, we'll take a short break. Okay, just to let it sink in. You sink it in. Yeah.
Sinking it in.
Okay, that's Vincent Hoang. Hoang at solutions engineer at Hawaiian Telecom, and Art Garbiso, and he's the president of HICTA. HICTA is having a conference on February 24th. There'll be a short exam on this. February 24th at the Halikoa Hotel, the HICTA Tech Trend Conference. We'll be right back.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon, and on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sort of exciting things that we're doing in Hawaii to build and grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on the show. Thank you.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're ThinkTech Tech Talks, talking about the HICTA Tech Trend Conference with Vincent Hoang, a solutions engineer with Hawaiian Telecom, who's going to speak at the conference. And you heard some of that before the break. Amazing. You are going to talk about that.
We definitely cover breach activity and revolve around.
Okay, got it. Great. And Art Garbiso, who's the president of HICTA, and who's the maitre d', can I say that?
Why not?
Of the conference.
The shepherd.
Okay. All right, so what's the situation here in Hawaii? I mean, we had a budding, tech industry, tech entrepreneurial industry back in the, I guess, the 90s, maybe it was, and the Manoa Innovation Center was created, and a lot of things happened. A lot of people came back from Silicon Valley. Local people came back from Silicon Valley, and that didn't do so well because it isn't around anymore in large part. And then we have a certain amount of entrepreneurial activity going on in tech, but it seems to be mostly around consumer type apps type technology rather than large enterprise developments, it seems to me. And then we have you guys, and you're running sort of a parallel to that because you're a separate industry. You're not inventing technology. You're not doing entrepreneurial things. You are consuming very sophisticated technology, and you are improving our business community with it. And we need that as a state, 2,500 miles away from the mainland. We have to stay current on things. So how is that industry? What are the dimensions of that industry? How many members do you have? How many people do you think are in the industry? What kinds of things are they doing? I asked Vincent before, are we current? Do we have to catch up? How is the industry doing? If you want to take the Fifth Amendment on this, it's okay.
Well, I'm glad you asked me that.
Good answer.
Thank you. I think the industry here in the state of Hawaii has its challenges. You hit on many points. For example, the brain drain is a potential point to address, population size, and then more the consumerization of technology rather than the other side in terms of inventing the new latest and greatest. I think Hawaii's place in the industry is unique because of our challenges, but I think it's still a growing industry, and there's a lot of room for hope as well as improvement. And one of the things that we're trying to do through this organization is help further the industry and provide opportunities for the next generation of technologists to make a contribution. So going back to the challenges, sure, of course, there is the brain drain. There is where we are on the side of information dissemination with consumerization of the latest and greatest versus what our spend may or may not be. And then the health of our business community as well. What investments can or can't they make in the latest and greatest or in the top tier talent. So many things to consider. I think it's a loaded question in that it depends on which way you want to decide to answer it. For myself, I would focus more on building the road for the future. And
what does that take?
I think it takes incubation for like what the Manoa High Technology Development Center was doing, what HTDC is doing now, putting more investment into our universities and colleges, and making tech more mainstream. I mean, there's so many jobs, so many opportunities for STEM. There's so many opportunities for security, but we need to get out there with the recruitment efforts. We need to build those bridges and make those connections.
Is there a connection between the two parallels, the two parallel industries? One, call it the invention industry, and two, call it the consumer industry, that distinction. Is there a connection there, career-wise, training-wise? Do people go down one road and shift to the other and then shift back? How free is that possibility?
I would believe so, but I think that's another, unique driver behind technology now is the spectrum. The spectrum continues to grow. So it depends on what problem you're trying to solve or what, community are you going after? Who's your market? So I think that most of us are going to teeter from side to side as far as identifying the problem, trying to invent a solution, and then being consumers of said solution.
So, it's like science and engineering.
Yeah.
The engineering is the practical application of great science. And the scientists, they don't care so much about the application. They want to find out more about the science. And so you guys are, like the engineers, and the guys who are inventing new ideas, new products, whatever. They're the entrepreneur type guys. You don't take as much of a risk, but they don't make they make money only if they hit it. But one thing you said, and you both said this, and I want to cover it briefly, is this thing, was a cyber patriot, you mentioned, Vincent.
Yes.
And Arthur, you mentioned you were involved in kids also. Mm-hmm. And I know, you do that for the community, it's payback and all that, but it also has a practical effect because it provides you with new hires and
Correct.
People who are sophisticated enough to help you out when you need help. How are we doing on that? I mean, you said you were involved, and I'm sure it's always a thrill to talk to kids and see them learn, especially when they're smarter than you are. That's always a real treat. But how are we doing here in Hawaii? Are those kids really excited? Are a lot of them excited, or is it just a small number of people in a given high school?
I think that micro technology aspect regarding security, and especially the Cyber Patriot program that I'm involved with, is to help build a talent pool for our future our future engineers. And it is a means to provide that venue earlier on in life to allow people, so instead of starting a job and learning the trade, getting people a chance to start earlier during college or during high school, and to help drive that effort forward. And as far as who the actual interests are, I think it's much like the classroom, where a lot of times most of the students, they just want to get by and get out and play at the park, for example, or get to their video games. But there's going to be, the reason why you teach is that there's going to be 1 or 2 individuals, per class.
Those are the ones you're really talking to.
Yes, and those are the folks that you interact with that make the entire effort completely worthwhile.
Yeah.
I have a direct experience with that, where I've had some experience with some students where they were in this and their heart wasn't really in it. They just wanted to get through it. But I've met one individual, and that's been a spark for me, and it's completely made it worthwhile. So as far as raw intelligence-wise, yes, he's definitely smarter than me. I may have 15, 20 years of experience in front of him, but he's going to catch up and leapfrog over me very, very quickly.
That's always thrilling, isn't it?
Yes.
What about the community in general? Vincent said something about, I think it was offline, about how people in the business community don't necessarily appreciate the risk of security issues. They don't necessarily take it seriously. And I think that's linked with the whole notion of people in the business community don't, just do the job, get an old computer. Can we get a used one? Can we sort of set this up cheap the way it was back when? Or why don't we just keep on using our existing network for the next 50 years? Why not? Why can't we do that? Why do you have to spend this money? I mean, that kind of mentality. And I have my own observation. I have found that in this community, there are a lot of people that feel that way. How do you see that? Are people in the business community fully akamai about the need for training these kids, the need for having your industry, the need for staying current on these trends you're going to discuss?
You mean, if I could start, I started my career as being the pure technical person. So my role was, as long as I'm in the corner and give me a keyboard, I will make this stuff work for you. And things are breaking constantly. And my effort was, I've been told, well, build something that you're proud of. Give me the best design possible. And then I do. I put in that effort, and what turns out is that what I propose gets shot down, because I was taking it purely from the technical side. It wasn't until I started understanding the business drivers to help weigh the cost of providing a robust network and having a secure network versus the risks of having that infrastructure.
But you know what? It's iterative. I just realized this talking to you. This is really something. It's iterative. If people out there, if the business community are ignorant, Luddites, right? Then it's hard to take your signal from them, because they're going to take you the wrong direction. You have to train them too. You have to teach them not to be Luddites. And only then is the relationship going to work.
And so I think that's where the balance comes in, especially my role at Hawaiian Tel, is that I am technical by trade, but the more I understand about the business, about customers in unique businesses, the more valuable of an asset that I am to them. It's only when I map what security controls would be required to their organization that there's a synergy involved in there. Because if you just talk to a regular customer, they're going to say, yes, I want the ultimate security possible. When you detail out what is required, it's like, whoa, that's way too much. I can't afford to do that, because the cost of maintaining this security is more expensive than what the business can potentially generate. And so the role as a technical person and understanding the business acumen is to be able to identify, to elucidate these controls, what are required, and then convey that to the business so that the business makes the educated guess. They're the ones taking the risk, so they need to be best informed on what technology to drive, what risks to take.
We're out of time. Yeah. One comment you can close, okay, Arthur? What would you leave with the people watching this? Come to the conference. I knew you were going to say that. What he said.
February 24th, 8:30 a.m. until 4 p.m., Halikoa Hotel, Darusi Ballroom. We'll be there all day. We look forward to your attendance. Thank you very much.
Art Garbiso, president of HICTA, and Vincent Hoang, a solution engineer with Hawaiian Telecom. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Aloha.